Hi everyone, thanks for joining us tonight for the Teamo Payments webinar. This webinar will be taken by myself, Lucy, the Customer Success Executive at Teamo, and Ollie, our Senior Account Manager. So to give you a brief overview of what we'll be going through tonight, we will begin with an outline of what Teamo Payments is. We will then discuss the setup and the type of products that are involved with it. We'll also talk about the payment center and how Autopay works. As Autopay works as it's a feature we've developed in the last year and how it can benefit clubs. We will be talking about these situations in the view of admins, managers, and members. So just to make you aware, a club admin has the highest level of accessibility in Teamo. They are typically a chairperson, a treasurer, or a senior committee member. A club admin is effectively responsible for setting up the whole club. They will have full access to club payments and the financial reports in the system. A manager will have access to all information within their designated club section or team, such as player information, team sheets, match fees. Just to say, this is a brief overview of the functionality of Teamo Payments. If you would like to have a full demo, you can get in touch or you can book via our website. We're also available to do an in-depth analysis of how your club operates financially. We were looking at how you use Teamo Payments and how you can use it in a more efficient manner. Any questions throughout this, just drop us a question in the chat function. And yeah, let's get started. Can we just make sure all cameras are off just for our recording? Thank you. So to get us started, Ollie, could you possibly describe Teamo Payments? What is it? Just a little background so we can dive a bit deeper.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks everyone for coming. Putting it simply, Teamo can facilitate payments from the user, be it the parent or the player, to the club. Clubs can create an array of products that their membership base can then purchase. This ranges from match fees to subs for the year. Clubs have the option to create 5 different types of products that all operate with slightly different nuances. So I'm sure we're going to cover all of these down the line, but you have memberships, you have match fees, you have tickets, which encompasses social tickets and training tickets. You have passes, and then you've got a product called Other, which then encompasses fines, merch, and donations. Any combination of these products can be used by the club throughout the whole year, but it allows clubs to charge users for exactly what they want to charge. And the added benefit is that members can get clarity on exactly what they're being charged for as well. Users are able to pay via the platform, which is then reported instantly to various dashboards within Teamo, so everyone knows where they stand at all times.
So moving on from that, let's start with Teamo Payments setup. So Ollie, what would you say is the starting point for setting up payments in a club? What does the admin have to do?
So the first thing that the club really needs to do is decide on which payment provider they use. Teamo offer 2 different payment providers, which are slightly different, but both extremely secure and used globally. So the first option, Stripe. Stripe is really fast. Stripe is really simple. It takes 2-3 minutes to set up a Stripe account for the club, and members only then need to add their card details to sign up and can start paying invoices immediately. Stripe charge 1.5% per transaction plus 20p. So if you're paying a £10 invoice for a match fee, Stripe will take 35p of that, which is, so the 1.5% is 15p, and plus the 20p that they take on every single invoice. The other option that we use is Go Cardless. Go Cardless collects money from its users via direct debit, which takes a little bit longer than Stripe, but it is slightly cheaper. So Go Cardless is 1% plus 20p. So that same £10 invoice would be 30p in transaction fees. Go Cardless is a little bit slower than Stripe, and payments can take up to 5 working days to be processed. If this then falls over a weekend, payment can sometimes take a week or so to go through the club, because obviously the Saturday, Sunday aren't working days. So sometimes it can take a little bit longer. It's not the case with Stripe, which is really fast. And purely from a Teamo standpoint, we can see the error log in Stripe. So if users are experiencing payment errors, we can help far more in the case of Stripe. Putting it into perspective of clubs using Stripe to go cardless in Teamo, this month Teamo handled approximately 50,000 transactions, 35,000 of which were through Stripe and 15,000 of which were via Go Cardless. So slightly more clubs use Stripe than go cardless, especially at this point in the season.
You've spoken a lot about Stripe and Go Cardless as separate, different payment providers. Can clubs use them together within their club?
Yeah, so it's quite common actually. Clubs use both Stripe and go cardless because they both have advantages which the other don't. So Stripe pay out really, really quickly, and go cardless is a little bit cheaper than Stripe. So clubs can use both their strengths through the season. Normally, clubs will set up their membership products with Go Cardless. This is because they're less focused on, well, the clubs are less focused on getting the money quickly, and slightly more focused on getting slightly more money, paying less in transaction fees. And then they'll set up all their match fees and tickets with Stripe, where the emphasis is on getting paid quickly. Um, Clubs are then able to pick which payment account links to which product. So theoretically, if you have a different setup for your men's side of the club, your ladies side of the club, and your junior side of the club, you could have three different Stripe fees linked to each side of the club. But obviously, the bigger it is, the more complicated it is, and we're happy to talk you through that if you want.
As you mentioned previously, we have products within Teamo. Could you possibly explain some of the products that we have? So memberships, match fees, tickets.
Yeah, I'll try and be quick on each of them because yeah, we're going to cover them a little bit more later. But memberships are designed to cover the main sub cost to the club each year. So obviously vastly complex with different age groups paying different prices through the year. And the bigger the club, the more membership products you might want to set up. But memberships encompasses all of that. Then you've got match fees, which is fairly self-explanatory. The invoices are linked to fixtures, which are assigned to a team once the fixture has been completed. Tickets then covers both training and socials. So if you buy a Christmas party ticket, you can go to the Christmas party. So tickets can either be bought beforehand or they can be assigned after the fact. Passes are a relatively new product for us, which can be linked to multiple events. So if you buy a pass for Winter Cricket Nets, for example, you have access to 6 training sessions instead of buying a ticket for each session. And then the other product category that we have is for fines, which are very ad hoc, can assign them post game for a whole host of reasons. Your merchandise allows people to place orders to the club, who are then able to bulk order things from their kit supplier. And then you've got donations, which will allow people to make a donation to the club on top of a membership that they might already be paying as well.
So the big one out of all of those is memberships. Could you possibly go into more detail of what memberships are within Teamo and the different ways they can be set up?
Yeah, so memberships is obviously the big one. Clubs obviously all differ on what they want to provide to their general user, and there's not one membership that normally encompasses everything. We know this, we understand this, so we allow clubs to create as many membership products as they need to. In the most extreme case, you could create a membership product for every single age group from your under sixes all the way up to your under 18s. And then you could create a senior membership on top of that as well, if you really want to. Um, there is more than just being able to make different products for different amounts too. The goal when making the products is to offer as much customization as possible. So because of this, when you make a membership product, you're given the choice of how you want the members to pay. We give you the choice between users paying in installments or paying in one go. So circling back to my first point, that the club can make as many membership products as they want. They can also offer multiple different payment plans for the same product, should they so choose.
So what this means is that a £300 membership, the club can offer it in a multitude of ways. They can offer it in a £300 lump sum. They could also do it in £150 in 2 installments, £100 in three, and so on.
Yeah, so the flexibility around memberships means clubs can be as accommodating as possible to every single member within their club. You're also able to add concessions to different membership products. So if you coach or help around the club in another capacity, you're able to pay a reduced price, but still under that same membership bracket. Products are then can be directly assigned to players or teams or even club sections. The benefit of this is that people will only see the membership that applies to them. So theoretically, if there's a senior membership linked to the men's ones and the men's twos, the players in this team can only see that membership. They can't see the junior membership, for example. Memberships are fairly complex. So if you do want one of the Teamo team to discuss the setup that you have, we're more than happy to help by jumping on a call and walking you through everything.
So Ollie's spoken a lot about what memberships and products are like from the admin's point of view. So how does the user then go about paying for the membership product?
So to make a payment, users will need to click in the top left corner of their app. So either in the app or in the desktop version, you've got your little profile icon. They need to click there, and then a side menu will pop out. You'll see the word payments. You click payments, and then you're able to select whichever membership suits you.
Perfect. I'm aware that clubs will want to learn about reporting and everything, but first, do they pay for products for the other products in the same way as memberships?
Yeah, almost all purchases through the platform are done in this area. There are some products that can be advertised on the news feed, such as merchandise products, which are paid for them in the news feed, but 99% of the products live in that payment section that I've just spoken about.
Perfect. So moving on from our products within Teamo, Teamo has recently released Autopay within the last year. Could you possibly explain a bit more about that and what's the purpose of it?
So Autopay is a new and efficient way to collect payments from your users. Invoices are grouped together, forming statements, and members are debited once a month, which saves the club on transaction fees. Admins can limit how much a user pays each month, so things are always under control. Once everything's been set up by the club, clubs will never miss those payments. Since everything is debited automatically, you do not need to click pay on each invoice. So as the end of the month rolls around, all invoices will be collected automatically. Every month, users will be charged for what they accumulated through the month. This payment is taken on the same day every month. Their total will be shown to users in a monthly statement, which they can access during their or through their payment section. There's also an email that tells them what their monthly statement is. Their monthly statement will include things like match fees, training fees, and membership installments, but that is up to how the clubs set things up. Clubs will then set a limit on how much they charge users each month, which will be the maximum amount of money a user can pay each month. Any unpaid invoices will roll over to the next month's statement.
Part of Autopay includes credit notes. Could you briefly explain what these are? Are there any situations where this would be specifically useful for clubs to use them?
Yeah, so clubs use this term in a few different ways. But the way we look at it is clubs often want to pay back users for helping the club. So, for example, if someone's umpiring a game, if someone drives to an away match, if someone helps coach a junior team, clubs often want to pay the user back almost or take some money off match fees that they have previously charged them. So with autopay, people rack up credit, which is what they owe the club each month. So if I play two matches and a match fee is £10, I'm owing the club £20 for that month. If I umpire a game, I can then be credited back £15, which means I only owe the club £5 at the end of the month. So it's all very simple, but it's something we haven't really been able to offer clubs through the last 12 months. So we've added that now.
So you mentioned a lot about how Autopay can save on transaction fees for clubs. Why would you say clubs use Autopay? What's the benefit of it? Have any clubs come back and said that it works well for them?
Yeah, so clubs save money on transaction fees and have full confidence knowing that every invoice linked to autopay will be taken. One of the clubs that turned it on back in March were delighted as it took match fees owed back from September that users just didn't get around to clicking pay on. So that's a small win for them. And then to give you some theoretical numbers, just in case anyone's wondering about all of that. So imagine match fees for a club are £10 and someone plays four matches inside a month. They would normally pay four separate invoices to the club, which the Stripe transaction fees would be 35p each time, which amounts to £1.40 over those four, which means the club get £38.60 from the £40 they start with. If the club use autopay with the member signing up to it, the user would be paying one invoice of £40, meaning their Stripe transaction fee would be 80p, which saves the club 60p. Obviously, this in isolation doesn't sound like a lot, but if there are 12 people in the team, every single month you're saving £7.20. And theoretically, if you're playing for 6 months, which sometimes is generous with the UK weather, you're saving the club £43.20 in transaction fees. You can then obviously extrapolate this further and further based on the size of the club you have and how many teams you have. But these numbers are rough calculations of a team saving £40 over the course of a season in transaction fees that shouldn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, a very important part of Teamo Payments for admins is the introduction of the payment center. Could you possibly explain some of the key features that come with this?
Yeah, so the payment center is the main reporting hub that should be utilized by admins and treasurers. Every single invoice that is paid will appear here. So the first page will display all of the membership payments across the club. You can then filter that to specific club sections or even filter further to see specific products. You can then switch tabs to see the different product types. So on the first page, you've got your memberships. Then you can switch over to see match fees. You can see social tickets and you can see training tickets. The last option is the reports page, which invoices sort of stack up and are catalogued in a time stamp. This can then be changed should the club want to download any of this information with different data columns that we have available. There are several places where admins have the option to then chase payments. This can either be for recently assigned memberships or long overdue match fees, all controlled at the touch of a button. Again, there's lots and lots of depth here, so if you want to find out the full functionality, please book a demo with one of the team.
Yeah, as Ollie's just said, the payment center is a very large part of Teamo Payments and it's very complex. Are there any tools that are little tools that are specific and which are quite useful, you think?
Yeah, so one of my favorite features is the membership status indicator. If this tool is turned on, then every single player gets a traffic light badge on their profile icon that we spoke about earlier. This light will show as green if members are fully paid up with their memberships. It will show as orange if the user is paying installments and hasn't completed the set of installments. And it will show as red if the user has fallen behind massively on those installments or they just haven't paid a membership at all. This information is then displayed to managers of teams across the club. So when you go into your availability for the fixture on the weekend and you see a red mark next to someone's name, you can say, oh, they've not paid, I don't need to pick them. The other thing that people would often be surprised to learn is the search function in the payment center is the same advanced search function in the membership center.
So moving on from the payment center, which is exclusive to admins, Teamo also has team payments. This is specifically visible to managers and captains. The admins will also have access. Could you explain the difference between this and the payment center? What does team payments offer?
So team payments is great for seeing things on the go. The payment center houses a plethora of information and almost too much at times, so it can only be displayed on the desktop. So if you want to check something quickly while you're out and about on your phone, team payments is absolutely great. The information there is slightly more filtered. So, for example, if you go to look at memberships immediately, it will filter to a specific team because it can't obviously show you the same amount of information as you can see on a desktop screen. So it will show you a specific team's membership information, which you can then obviously filter to see the team that you want to look at.
So we're coming towards the end of this webinar. If anyone does have any questions that they want to ask, please put them in the chat function and me and Ollie will do our best to answer them at the end. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, Ollie, could you give a few reasons why Teamo Payments is particularly beneficial to clubs? Why should they switch?
Yeah, so the aim of Teamo is to make everyone's life easier on the committee. So we made Get Social to help the club with graphics, and we introduced medical data indicators to help alert managers and coaches to players with serious medical issues, which we believe cuts the amount of time down, cuts down the amount of work and time needed to run a successful club. Teamo Payments is arguably our strongest offering to clubs. We've developed the payment center year on year. We have added more and more options in both existing products and created new products. And the fact that the reporting is instantaneous saves the treasurers so much time. I've spoken with countless clubs since they've onboarded onto Teamo, and the biggest time save is in memberships. Instead of referring to Excel spreadsheets to work out who has and has not paid, the information is all in one place and only the right people have access to it.
Yeah, while we're just waiting for the last few questions to come in, are there any products that have come out recently that that have excited you that you think will bring Teamo up?
Yeah, so on the payment side of things, I'm looking forward to people using passes more and more. Passes can operate as a flexible membership that has caused a little bit of confusion with our users in the last 18 months. With more and more optional extras being set up at clubs, we have to work out a way for clubs to be able to charge them outside the normal membership and training tickets that we provided. And I think passes will slot really nicely into this category.
Perfect. So we'll move on to some of our questions in the chat. So for the first question, can annual subs be paid monthly? Yes, they can. We have at the start we explained all about installment products and how they can be split up throughout the month. So you can do £100 and split it between 10 months. So people pay £10 a month. Or on a
Yeah,
separate note, yeah.
yeah. The
So you
important
can
thing here
do
is as well, you can offer a payment at the start of, say, you want to get half the money in at the start. If your product is going to be £100 and you want people to pay it over 3 months, you can say the first payment's going to be £50, and then in 1 month's time take £25, and in another month's time take another £25. So yeah, you can split them up. You would be able to make as many products as you want for installments, splitting it up as many times as you want. For example, yeah, as Lucy was saying, you could do
yeah.
10 payments of £10, or you could do one lump sum. That's up to you as a club.
So next question is if members are paying monthly, does the treasurer have to manually check who has paid each month?
No. So each month, well, when I get assigned, say I have a product that's going to come out once a month, so there's 12 installments on the product. When I click pay on that first invoice, I've basically accepted that the next 11 installments will be taken in sort of on the first of every month. Say I click pay on the first of the month. Um, when it gets around to the first of the month, the next month, the payment will be taken automatically. And so the treasurer doesn't need to check anything. Basically, they can scroll through, they can see in the payment center, everything will read as paid because people have paid the installments that they are due. If something happens, like the person doesn't have enough money in their account or something like that, the payment will be marked as failed, which is really, really easily flagged. So the treasurer can sort of go through and sort of click on it and ask for more information, and then they'll be able to see the payment failed because there wasn't enough money in the account, and then they can either send a message to the player saying, "Might want to top it up and we can try again," or they can figure out a way around it.
So next question, does the club get charged for credited payments?
No, no. So in the credit reference that I was talking about earlier, say the club are using Autopay. I've played my first match at the first week of the month. I've had £10 put onto my account. So I owe £10. Then I play the second week. I have another £10 put onto my account. So I'm owing £20 to the club so far. If the club then put a £15 credit on my statement because I've umpired a game, they don't pay any transaction fees. And I haven't actually made a payment yet on my invoice, so I haven't paid any transaction fees. So that's all. It would just 20 minus 15 takes me to £5 that I owe the club, which will be paid out at the end of the month.
Yeah, someone's asked, is Autopay replacing deferred payments within products?
Yeah, I think Autopay, well, Autopay is easy to explain to everyone that it's a payment taken monthly, similar to your phone bill, similar to if you join a gym, your gym membership. So they can work hand in hand. They basically do the same thing. And I think Autopay is slightly easier to explain to everyone. So, but products can be both paid via deferred or paid via Autopay. They can be both, but we would recommend using Autopay from now on.
Yeah. Someone's asked, is the traffic light system able to be viewed on the app?
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh yeah, I should have mentioned that any manager sort of going about will be able to see all of the different traffic lights on anything within their club. So if I go into fixture availability, I can see who's playing, who's said they're available this weekend. That's where the indicator will show. And also, if I go into a training session and I'm marking off attendance or something like that, I'll be able to see the traffic lights there as well.
Yeah. A question about team payments. If a player plays for different teams each week, for example, the twos and the threes and the fours, how will their payments be monitored? Does this create a problem within team payments?
So team payments will filter for events. So, for example, this weekend I play a game for the twos. There is a history of me playing or needing to pay £5 for my match fee that I played this weekend. And then the previous weekend, if I played for the threes, I'd have my name saved against that as well. So I'd owe £5 to the twos, £5 to the threes. It would be viewable in both.
Is there any way to receive an email or a notification when users purchase some merchandise?
This is one of the updates that we're looking to do. We have a list of a few merchandise upgrades that we're going to make, of which this is one of them. We're going to have a sort of merchandise, someone who's head of merchandise who then is able to get notifications and things like that.
Yeah, and someone's asked if there are plans to have more of a shop view for merch rather than it just being in the news feed or the payment section.
Again, yeah, got some nice updates lined up for merch. I think the first time we put it out there, the general feedback is people loved it and they wanted more and more and more. So yes, we are building more things in regards to the merchandise section in Teamo. One of our projects that we're working on at the moment is doing a web shop as well. So people don't need to be inside the platform in order to purchase things, but that will be coming somewhere in 2025.
Someone's asked, oh yeah, we are recording, and the recording will be going out in the next week. Um, Someone said stock level recording would be super useful. Do we have that?
Again, lots of upgrades will be
Mhm.
being made to the merchandise section. I don't know if that's been suggested yet. So if you could email Lucy or info at teamo.chat about sort of slightly more of what exactly you'd want for this, so we can sort of talk through it and just make sure if we are planning on doing it, we get it right first time.
Yeah, just pop me an email at lucy@teamo.chat and I can get it straight on the feature request list and we can have a look at it. Somebody's mentioned the Teamo transaction fee. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so there's a Teamo transaction fee on every single invoice that's paid as well via Teamo. So on that £10 match fee, Teamo will take 1% of that. So 10p goes to Teamo.
Someone's asked, can we provide specific one-on-one support to a club to set up the payment center for their specific circumstances?
Yeah, absolutely. So either you can chat with myself, you can chat with Lucy, or you can chat with Ben. But I think that's probably best dealt with offline, off this
Hmm.
webinar. But yeah, absolutely no worries at all.
Someone has asked, is there a way to extend the amount of characters available as reasons for credit notes or adjustments? Yeah, that's something we can add to our feature request list. That seems like a little simple thing we can add. I can write that
Yeah,
down.
I mean there will be a reason that we have a limit, a character limit on there. But I assume as long as we're not writing massive essays on it, it'll be fine.
Can we set up credit products, for example, umpired? And can this be assigned to a player who has umpired a game to credit their account?
No, we don't have credit products because we sort of think credits are going to be on a more one-to-one basis because they might, for example, if you're paying players for fuel on away days, you might want to change the amount every single time, so there wouldn't be a set amount. So that's why we haven't done something like that before.
Yeah,
So
and the
what was the
last
second part of the
question,
question? I might have missed the second part of that question.
um, can they set up a product that can then be assigned to a player who has umpired a game?
Yeah, the other thing I might suggest is if you know someone's going to be umpiring, there are different concessions that you can set up within the products. So instead of my match fee being £10, if I know I'm going to umpire or I'm going to help with some junior coaching, I could be assigned a £5 concession if I regularly do it.
Yeah. Okay. The last question is, can we play umpires via credits to members who don't play and consequently don't pay match fees?
No, so oh, sorry, the light went off again. So no, sadly not, because the credit system works. Players will build up credit that they owe the club, and then the credit system will work by taking the credit that they owe the club off. We can't do it the other way around. We don't have the facilities in Teamo for the club to owe people.
And is there a report of credits that have been paid out within the club? Is that something
Yeah,
would happen?
so if I have been credited £15 and I've paid I was meant to be paying £20 for the month and I've been credited £15, there will be a credit note on my monthly statement that I'd be able to see in my payment history.
Well, if that is end of everyone's questions. That brings us to the end of our Teamo Payments webinar. Oh, Perfect. Thank you all very much for listening. We will be getting in contact about after this webinar with an overview, and a recording of this will be posted on our site within the next week. We'll also provide some perfect answers to the questions you provided. If you do want to have a look at payments in some further detail, you can book a demo with a member of our staff, or you can book it via the website. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We hope it's been very informative to everyone, and hope you have a good rest of your evening. Thanks for joining, guys.